here. I know it. In this building, in this room, it's around here. And what are you supposed to be?
I'm a predator.
Aren't you supposed to have like 3 points, not 1?
Your point?
Let me guess. We're gonna go ahead and CGI this afterwards.
Exactly, and so I'll look like I'm invisible, but like shimmering, so the audience knows that I'm invisible. But to give the indication you can't see me.
And of course, you'd be slightly close to the camera to make yourself a little bigger. Yeah, like that. Oh my god. This is just like a waste of time, just like the movie.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, we need to discuss that right now.
Yes, we need to definitely discuss it. So, let's go ahead and have a seamless cut to a few minutes from now, or a week earlier.
Okay.
Oh my god, that sucked.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you screw up a Predator movie? It's pretty simple. Predator comes to Earth, Predator hunts people. A few of them fight back. How difficult is it to do that? Especially if you were in the first Predator.
Well, obviously they made a talent out of that.
Yeah, so basically the newest Predator, let's just make it simple. It sucked. I never got so pissed off at a movie because they pretty much ruined the entire Predator lore. Being a sci-fi fan, obviously I knew like the lore of the Predators and some of the backstories. Instead, they decided to take it and go, "Nah, we don't want it," and just toss it all away.
And we're gonna create our completely own story that completely messes up everything.
Yeah, we're going to do a plot hole punishment because some of the criticisms that we have in this video would not be enough. But some of the criticisms will actually go ahead and reveal the ending and the plot, and we don't want to do it for this one because this is a no spoiler.
That one will have a lot of spoilers. So if you haven't seen it or you plan to see it, despite our warnings, don't watch that one until after you've been tortured.
Yeah. So basically, my biggest complaint is the plot basically sucked. One thing that really annoys me is this is actually common knowledge. There's a kid in it, and the kid is kind of autistic, but basically the kid got to the point where it's like, oh, he knows how to use all the Predator stuff. He knows the language. They kind of make him kind of like the kid genius that like the adults can't figure all this stuff out, but the kid somehow figured it out despite only having a couple of items from the Predator.
Not to mention, where's the parental supervision?
Yeah, it's like
half the movie. The kid's off wandering off on his own during an alien attack. I mean, really, the thing takes place on Halloween, I think.
Yeah, kind of.
And okay, how many of you parents out there let your kids go trick-or-treating on their own? Now, we're not talking teenagers here. We're talking, what do you think he is? Maybe 8?
Maybe, I think 8 to 10, I'm not
Somewhere
sure.
between the 8 and 10 range. How many parents out there would let their kid, by themselves, no friends, just by themselves, go trick-or-treating? Alone.
I can think of a few, but they're all terrible parents. But basically, here's like the beginning of the plot. Basically, a soldier meets the Predator, blah blah blah, meets up with a bunch of crazy people, and they basically have to fight the Predator and save his son. And that's pretty much the premise of it. And you would think, even if it was a terrible movie, it would at least have some good action sequences, but I ended up being kind of bored because it just tried to create as much chaos with the editing, but to the point where I'm like, wait, what is happening?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to follow who's doing what, because they kind of jump from this spot to this spot to this spot to this spot, and all the camera angles keep changing, so you don't know who you're looking at.
Yeah, and on top of that, during one of the...
And it's at night!
And during one of the fight scenes, they kept jumping around showing like people shooting, all this stuff is happening, but I realized pretty quickly that the enemies that they're shooting at actually hasn't moved. They were just standing there just looking at him or growling, and they really hasn't moved. That all the other soldiers are just standing there shooting him, but the camera angles try to make it look like, oh look, it's chaotic, there's lots of stuff, and you realize nothing's happening. It's just them shooting uselessly.
Yeah, I mean, really, they realized all the issues of their weapons early on, and yet they continue to use the same tactics and weapons that didn't work the first time. Let's try it again a third time.
Yep, and basically it kind of jumps around too much, and they could have had like something really good here with some of the characters, but a lot of the characters I end up not really caring about, except for like two of them. Basically, one guy who is suffering from PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and another guy just because I'm familiar with his work, one of the funny guys, like the guy who's like, of course, is the comic relief character.
And they could have done a lot more with this movie to try to bring awareness to the different mental illnesses that veterans face. But it looked like that was the direction they were starting to go in, and they just kind of dropped that ball and let it roll away.
Yeah. Plus, I really didn't know if the director was trying to make a horror predator film was action or something else, because the tone was all over the place. It wasn't a consistent tone, and on top of that we also realized that the CGI was pretty terrible.
Oh my goodness. I mean, seriously, you got a guy who's being impaled by an object. He's wiggling around, the object stationary. So what is it doing? Carving into his stomach or something? I mean, literally, the CGI was so poorly done. I honestly think we have better CGI done by our graphics designer on this show.
It ended up being really, really distracting. I can understand like if the CGI is consistently terrible or has like a low budget. I can understand that. But I've seen some low budget movies where the CGI is actually better. This one actually had a decent sized budget.
And there were points where they used CGI where they could have easily used a practical effect.
Yeah, and on top of that, like I said, the editing was just crap. Like everything was kind of jumping around. It looked like they tried to rush the entire movie, but they could have easily added another 20 minutes to make the pacing better. But thank God they didn't add any more.
Near that last fight scene, I'm already wondering, when's it gonna end? When's it gonna end?
Yeah, and with
usually I like this kind of movies.
Yeah, but basically, if a movie annoys me so much that I'm wondering if it ends, that's a problem, especially for a movie that's supposed to be like action oriented or horror oriented. But like it goes to the climax, like yes, but it just was lame all across the board. And I know I had a bunch of other complaints too, but
those would spoil some.
Yeah, so if you've seen the movie and seen the ending, or just don't care to see the movie and want to see what we really have to complain about, definitely check out Plot Hole Punishments.
Yep.
So what would you give this movie?
Oh, that's easy. 2.
I would give it a little bit better rating, because I would give it 2.51 because Happy Time Murders I saw, hated, gave that a 2, and I definitely think this movie's better than Happy Time Murders. And
hey, you're giving a spoiler to our next episode.
You know, oh well. We're filming all this stuff out of order. And also on top of that, there was actually some really hilarious scenes in it too that were pretty clever and made me actually laugh. And like I said, it was actually a couple of likable characters, so not all the characters were bad. Okay, and do you have anything else to finish up?
I got nothing else.
Yeah, okay.
What's that sound?
Oh god.
Oh god! Run!
The movie's
Run!